In the golden age of funk, where the groove ruled the airwaves and rhythm was a way of life, two brothers from Los Angeles redefined what it meant to make it funky. Louis Thunder Thumbs Johnson, a bass prodigy with power and precision, George Lightning Licks Johnson, a guitarist whose melodies could make you feel and move at once. Together, there was a force that blended soul, jazz, and funk into pure musical magic. There wasn't just a band, there was the heartbeat behind some of the most iconic sounds of the late 70s and early 80s. Mentored by Quincy Jones and loved by fans worldwide, their influence stretched the dance floors to the studios of legends. The centerpiece of today's video is all about the brothers Johnson. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Louis and George grew up in Los Angeles, California, in a household steeped in gospel, blues, and the rhythm of Black America. Their father, a musician himself, encouraged his sons to play, not just to entertain, but to impress. From the church pews to backyard jam sessions, music was their first language. Louis picked up the bass at an early age, developing a powerful slap technique that would later shake the foundation of funk itself. George leaned into the guitar, channeling the smooth and soulful tone of greats like Curtis Mayfield and Ernie Isley. By their teen years, the Johnson brothers, they wasn't just talented, they was exceptional. In Los Angeles, they was about to take notice. In the early 70s, the brothers, they began performing with local acts, including Billy Preston, where they honed their stagecraft and discipline on tour.
Yeah. But we both started playing. I guess I first got interested when I was 5 years old. My father had built us a guitar, our first guitar. He put it together. And we exchanged it back and forth. Learned the guitar.
UNSUNG guitar.
One guitar. Until he had found out that both of us were interested in it. He had a guitar and I had a guitar. And later, when my brother hit drums, so we figured we needed bass. So he gave him one of the guitars, she took the bass. And I kept the guitar, and we worked on tunes. I started writing when I was 12 years old, as far as original material. And we played local clubs, played just about every high school, college here in the LA district.
Yeah.
And around 71, I had left the group to go out to Europe to play with Billy Preston.
Oh, yeah.
And just for the experience and see what else was happening.
When you had Outer Space or before that?
It was Outer Space.
Right, Outer Space.
That's exactly when I went there. He had problems with his bass player, and the whole time we were touring, I was telling him about Louis. And I said, I have a brother that will probably turn you inside out when you hear him play. And he would just laugh at me because I told him how old he was, because age was always the factor with Louis.
Yeah.
People would not respect him until they would hear it. It's like when we had eventually hooked up with Quincy. They see two young guys coming along. I think they can play. They look like they can't play.
It was during these formative years that a musical giant took notice, Quincy Jones. Quincy was assembling some of the finest young musicians in LA, and he heard the Johnson brothers play and knew they were special. He brought them into his place, using their talents on projects like Mellow Magnets. It wasn't just a collaboration, it was a mentorship. Quincy guided the brothers not only as musicians, but as producers, arrangers, and sharpening their studio instincts and creative vision. Their chemistry with Quincy was undeniable, and soon he encouraged them to record on their own. And the result? a debut album that would redefine funk. In 1976, the Johnson Brothers they released their debut album, Look Out for Number One, that was produced by Quincy Jones. The album exploded onto the charts, reaching number 1 on the Billboard R&B chart. The single, I'll Be Good to You, became an instant classic. Its smooth vocals and infectious groove defining the sound of the late 70s funk. With Lewis' signature bass tone and George's melodic guitar lines, the Brothers Johnsons, they crafted something timeless, music that was both technically brilliant and emotionally rich. Their blend of tight musicianship, sleek production, and joyful energy made them a force in funk and not just section players, but stars in their own right. Their follow-up album, Right on Time, proved their success with no fluke. With hits like Strawberry Letter 23, this became one of their biggest hits. This song introduced a sound that blended psychedelic soul with crisp, modern funk. Their next single, Get the Funk Out of My Face, showcased their playful raw side, bold and unapologetic funky. The brothers, they found their identity, a seamless mix of procession and personality. But their sound wasn't just entertainment, it was innovation. Lewis' slap bass technique, later studied by bassists worldwide, set a new standard in funk performance, including everyone from Marcus Miller to Flea. By 1980, the brothers, they was unstoppable. Their album, Light Up the Night, that was produced by Quincy Jones, featured their biggest hit, Stomp. This was an anthem of joy and celebration, and the song filled the dance floors across the whole world, earning them international fame. They was touring worldwide, appearing on TV, and working with icons like Michael Jackson, who admired Lewis' bass skills so much that he would feature him on the Off the Wall and Thriller albums. But with success came pressure, creative differences began to surface, and the close-knit dynamic that had driven their rise started to strain under the weight of fame and expectation. As the 80s rolled on, the sound of popular music began to shift. Synths and drum machines replaced live bands, and funk had to fight for a new space and electronic landscape. The Brothers Johnson continued to release albums like Winners and Out of Control, but the era that had celebrated musicianship and groove was fading fast. The brothers, they pursued solo projects, production work, and collaborations, but their golden run as a duo began to cool. The brothers, they pursued solo projects, production work, and collaboration, but their golden run as a duo began to chill. Still, their influence remained. Their songs were sampled by hip-hop artists and studied by funk musicians and celebrated by fans who grew up to their sound. Louis Thunder Thumbs Johnson passed away on May 21st, 2015, leaving behind a thunderous legacy that continues to echo in modern music. Now, for more information about Louis Johnson and his solo career, then I highly suggest you checking out my tribute video to him. George Johnson remains active, carrying the torch for their family musical heritage and keeping the funk alive for the new generation. The Brothers Johnson, they was more than hitmakers, they was the architect of groove. From the studios of Quincy Jones to the stages of the world, the Brothers Johnson proved that when family funk and faith collide, the result is magic. Since their existence, the Brothers Johnson received 1 Grammy, and as of this recording, they are not inducted into any Hall of Fame. Now, for some strange reason, YouTube is only promoting my videos to 20% of my audience. So to change that, just make sure you guys are notified. When you click that notification bell, make sure the bell says all instead of personalized, so you will be notified each time I upload. Now, before we go, I have a few questions for you all. What is your favorite song by the Brothers Johnson? Also, what Hall of Fame do you believe the Brothers Johnson deserve to be in?